Welcome back to BioShock the Definitive Story. Last time we discussed the Lighthouse and Welcome to Rapture levels. You can find that video linked in the description below. Today we will spend an entire episode on the Medical Pavilion, as it introduces us to several key aspects of BioShock that need to be explained in depth. If you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe. And if you end up learning something new that you didn't know before, please let me know what that was in the comments below. So sit back, relax, and enjoy BioShock the Definitive Story Part 2. The protagonist Jack enters the medical pavilion and Atlas informs him to head to emergency access. But when reaching there, he discovers that he needs a key from someone called Dr. Steinman. Dr. Steinman is the main boss and focus for this level. Dr. J.S. Steinman, MD, was once a well-renowned orthopedic surgeon, having studied at the Benjamin Church Medical College. He was accomplished in the field of plastic and cosmetic surgery, which caused Andrew Ryan to invite him to Rapture. After his arrival, Steinman created a practice in the medical pavilion, specializing in cosmetic surgery for Rapture citizens. Initially, Steinman went about his regular business, but the discovery of Adam changed his practice drastically. Steinman quickly became to understand the potential of Adam to alter and sculpt the faces and bodies of his patients in ways that traditional tools simply could not do, and not just in terms of looks and sex, but also race. With Adam, the flesh became like clay, allowing Steinman to do much more with the human body, pushing him to increase his standards and perceptions of beauty. A self-described Picasso of surgery, his art was now only limited by his imagination. However, like with most citizens of Rapture, Steinman himself became addicted to Adam, which slowly deteriorated his psyche. This vastly altered Steinman's surgical work in malicious ways. He became so obsessed with perfectionism, beauty, and the human body that he started to mutilate and disfigure his patients. One audio log describes the gruesome scene where Steinman, after completing a patient's nose job, commented that her face sagged a bit, and even though the patient never booked in for a facelift, Steinman nevertheless grabbed a scalpel, started to whistle, and kept cutting into the patient's face. This procedure marked one of the early stages of Steinman's descent into madness. Over time, he even started to hallucinate, seeing what he believed to be the Greek goddess of beauty, Aphrodite. This was then applied to his work, where he strove to make his patients as beautiful as Aphrodite through surgery, but he always failed in this endeavor, which only further spurred his insanity. So Jack makes his way to Steinman, with the environment and ghostly images further reinforcing Steinman's insanity with this surgical work. For instance, Jack sees one female ghost say the following:
"You promised me pretty, Steinman. You promised me pretty. Now look at me. Look at me!"
As he nears Steinman's practice, Jack's path is cut off by a nitro splicer, and Atlas tells him that he'll need to seek out the telekinesis plasmid in order to clear the way. This also requires Jack to obtain the fire plasmid Incinerate, as some of the doorways are blocked with ice. But when Jack discovers Incinerate, Ryan sends even more splicers after him. It's revealed at this stage that Ryan is controlling the splicers through certain pheromones that he distributes via Rapture's air ventilation system. These pheromones are effectively plasmids that have had their structure modified to make the user, in this case splicers, vulnerable to mental suggestion. Jack then enters dental services, where he finds a shotgun and picks up audio logs that describes the testing and research into particular plasmids. One log by Dr. Yisu Chong describes the clinical trial of the Enrage plasmid with one Roland Wallace, which causes him to go crazy. Another log describes a clinical trial of the telekinesis plasmid, which mentions that it can lift objects at a distance, move objects through space, and catch and throw a fast-moving object. In Su Chong's own words, Adam is the canvas of genetic modification, but plasmids are the paint. Jack then picks up the telekinesis plasmid, and after clearing the once blocked path, is finally in Steinman's quarters in surgical savings. Here Jack witnesses the following gruesome scene.
"What can I do with this one, Aphrodite? She won't stay still! I want to make them beautiful, but they always turn out wrong! That was too fat! This was too tall! This was too symmetrical! And now, what's this goddess? An intruder! He's ugly! 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 Ugly!
A fight then ensues, with Jack emerging victorious and obtaining the emergency access key from Steinman's corpse. As he makes his way back, Jack suddenly has a flashback of his time on the plane smoking a cigarette. Thereafter, he enters a room where he sees a Big Daddy killed before his eyes, leaving a splicer and a little sister alone together. This very important cutscene then plays.
Stay away from her, or it is you who will be shot next.
Easy now, Doctor. He's just looking for a wee bit of Adam. Just enough to get by.
I'll not have him hurt my little ones.
It's okay, lad. It's not a child. Not anymore, it ain't. Dr. Tenenbaum saw to that.
Bitte do not hurt her. Have you no heart?
Aye, that's a pretty sermon coming from the ghoul who cooked up them creatures in the first place. Took fine little girls and turned them into that, didn't you? Listen to me, boyo. You won't survive without the Adam those things are carrying. Are you prepared to trade your life, the lives of my wife and child, for Tenenbaum's little Frankenstein?
Here! There is another way. Use this. Free them from their torment. I will make it to be worth your while. Somehow.
With this, we should talk about Dr. Brigid Tenenbaum. Tenenbaum is a geneticist from Belarus. Her history before Rapture is actually quite upsetting. When the Nazis invaded and occupied Belarus, being a Jew herself, she became a prisoner at Auschwitz, a Nazi concentration camp, when she was 16. Her calling for science began at this young age. When Germans were experimenting on prisoners, she would frequently correct them on their scientific errors, which then led to the Germans using Tenenbaum's skills and knowledge to assist with their experiments. She was the only one of her family to survive the concentration camp and continued to improve her scientific prowess, becoming well known as a genius in the field. But suddenly, in 1946, she disappeared, making her way to Rapture. Dr. Tenenbaum is quite important in Rapture, as she is the founder of Adam, having discovered the man who was first healed by the sea slug. She was the one that conducted the initial research into Adam, discovering its healing properties and ability to resurrect damaged cells. Tenenbaum wanted to continue her research, and the only one that would fund it was Frank Fontaine. I promise he'll be described in a later episode. Tenenbaum was instrumental in the commercialization of Adam and plasmids. In fact, it was her that created the Little Sisters in the first place, when her research led her to discover how little girls were the only viable hosts for the Adam sea slug. This is why Tenenbaum is colloquially known as the mother of the Little Sisters, and why she cares about them so much. Coincidentally, it was also Tenenbaum that uncovered the addictive nature of Adam and how it produced terrible side effects, especially if splicers did not take enough Adam to prevent withdrawal. But it was not this that concerned Tenenbaum. Rather, she grew attached to the Little Sisters and began to regret her research into them, especially because the Little Sisters still acted like regular young girls, despite the horrible surgery and mental reconditioning they were subject to. Tenenbaum hated herself for this. After Frank Fontaine's death, Tenenbaum continued to work for Ryan, as Ryan seized Fontaine Futuristics, but soon after she quit. When Tenenbaum renounced the Little Sister program, she was publicly labeled as a madwoman. She then disappeared and resided in a sanctuary she created for the Little Sisters. This gave her the time and privacy needed to work on creating a cure for the Little Sisters, namely via plasmid that would enable the safe removal of a sea slug from the stomach of a Little Sister without killing the host. After this, the Little Sister would become a regular girl once again, and Tenenbaum had even began to cure Little Sisters herself during Rapture's Civil War. This is why she provides Jack at this stage with the plasmid that could save Little Sisters instead of harvesting them. If Jack simply decides to harvest slugs from Little Sisters, he will gain much more Adam, but the hosts unfortunately will die. So after the encounter with Tenenbaum, Jack decides to either harvest or rescue the Little Sister in question, which over time will affect the story of BioShock, so we'll note those differences where necessary. He then approaches a Gatherer's Garden machine, which is a vending machine that allows Jack to purchase gene tonics, plasmids, and other upgrades by using Adam as currency. This is why Adam is so important in the game. After this, the very first approachable Little Sister and Big Daddy combo appear in front of Jack. Should Jack wish to obtain the Adam from this Little Sister, the only way is to fight and kill the Big Daddy. Big Daddies are human beings, usually criminals, that have been genetically altered and have had their organs and skin grafted into diving suits. There are various Big Daddy types, such as the Bouncer, who wield giant drills, and the Rosie, who wield rivet guns and proximity mines. Big Daddies have one aim above all else: to protect little sisters as they gather Adam around Rapture. Big Daddies somewhat struggle to communicate, only capable via moans that sound like a wail. This is why they wear helmets that are filled with a bioluminescent chemical substance that changes color according to their mood. Green for friendly, yellow for indifferent, and red for rage. The man behind the creation of the Big Daddies is the previously mentioned Dr. Yi Su-chong. They were first actually used as maintenance workers. Bouncers drilled deep sea rocks, and Rosies riveted windows and panels. But when atom shortages began to occur during the Civil War, Su-chong engineered a new method of atom production by having little sisters recycle raw genetic material from dead splices. But this put the little sisters at great risk, walking through Rapture alone with atom-addicted splices around. So this is when Su-chong and Ryan initiated the Protector program, where Big Daddies would be bonded to little sisters, forcing them to stop at nothing to protect them. Dr. Gilbert Alexander was employed to conduct the necessary research to make the bonding a possibility. The first Big Daddies, or Protectors as they were known, that were bonded to little sisters were the Alpha series. Through mental and physical restraints, Alexander engineered a conditioned or pair bond between the Alphas and the little sisters, similar to the bond between a father and daughter. This bond forced the Alphas to always guard and protect their little sisters. If they somehow walked away from a little sister, they would become comatose. But the Alphas had a limitation. They could only protect one little sister at a time, whereas a Rosie and a Bouncer Big Daddy could be bonded to and protect many different little sisters. So as a result, the Alpha series was discontinued. However, during the research, Atlas's civil war against Ryan began at Kashmir Restaurant, which pushed the importance of bonding Big Daddies to protect little sisters. So Su-chong picked up the research, experimenting on a Bouncer Big Daddy. He attempted to use a biological genetic bonding approach known as the protection bond, or Lot 255, to condition the Big Daddy to attack anything that hurts a little sister. Initially, the Bouncer seemingly ignored the little sisters. Frustrated during one of the tests, Su-chong physically hit one of the little sisters who were part of the experiments, and it was at this point that the Big Daddy reacted, attacked, and in fact killed Su-chong. So the bond had actually been formed and worked successfully, so that the Big Daddy began to care for the girls who brought them Adam for their own survival. This breakthrough led to more Bouncer and Rosie Big Daddies to be bonded to little sisters. And originally, the little sisters were afraid of the Big Daddies, but to counter this, pheromones were used on the little sisters to ensure that they were not scared. Finally, it was at this time that Big Daddies and little sisters could be used in the field to gather Adam. So finally, after dispatching the Big Daddy and harvesting or saving the little sister, Jack uses Steinman's access key to obtain access to Neptune's bounty. Thank you for watching this episode of BioShock: The Definitive Story. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Your support means a lot. Also, give a big thank you in the comments below to the main contributors of The Definitive Story, who are appearing on the screen right now. They all helped immensely with the script, as did BioShock's wiki site run by Fandom, which is linked in the description below. So until next time, this has been the Lone Vault Wanderer. Please take care of yourself, and would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.